What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the 10 Horse Money YouTube channel, and I'm excited. We're going fishing, but I'm excited for other reasons. I'm going to be testing out this new Jewel Baits scope spin. I'm excited. Check this thing out. I've been hearing all kinds of great things about this. I've been watching the buzz and seeing the videos about this. This is the Jewel scope spin. Just got my hands on a couple of these. Today we're gonna go out, throw these around, and learn about this bait together. I'm curious if it's gonna work. We're gonna idle around, try to find some offshore fish. It's late fall, things are getting ready to change fast, and that fall winter period opens up a new category of baits. A lot of your moving baits, your top waters go away, and then this more winter cold water stuff, you know, your jerk baits, your A-rigs and spoons, and then this thing right here. We're gonna go out, check this thing out, figure it out together. Let's chop this boat in, see what happens. All right, folks, we're out here idling around. I'm gonna try to find a group of fish that looks like they're set up right. We're looking for bait balls right now. It's that time of year where the bait starts gathering up and the bass start migrating towards them. We're right before a major cold front coming through. It's fall, but it's getting ready to change to winter real quick. Water temperatures are still 65 degrees. So pretty warm. We got a little ball of bait right here. This is a ball of bait there on the bottom off that side scan. Just kind of some scattered stuff. I'm not seeing anything that's worth stopping, but we're gonna try to keep moving around. That's the whole deal with the fall time, especially when you're fishing offshore. You want to keep covering water until you see what you want to see. Don't stop if it don't look right. Let's keep moving. All right, I didn't move far. Found this little point right here. There's some stuff going on down there. I'm gonna put this live scope down. Nice thing about live scope is you can just drop it and look around, spend 5 minutes looking around. If you don't see what you need to see, you can move on, but that looks like might be able to catch something out of that. We're gonna give it a try. Spot one did not pay off. You gotta keep moving. You gotta find those active fish. I mean, there's fish everywhere and they look good, but they're just not responding, so you can't stay very long. You give them 10-15 minutes. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you gotta keep moving on. Dude, they're right here. I think they're crawling up under the boat.
And it's basically like a slab spoon on a spinner bait. You can see it really good on the live scope. Yeah, there's a bunch of them right here. They're right where they're supposed to be, right underneath the shed. They're right under your outboard. I'm looking at your outboard, and they're right under your outboard. It's a big group of them. That's kind of how the two bites I had, they just kind of slapped it. I just felt something on it for just a second, that was it. That was a bite. Got him. Got him? Yep, first fish on the scope spin. It's probably not, I don't think he's big, but yeah, decent. Oh, I got off. Oh well. There he is. There he is. I'll show you what I did there. Dang, it got off. This thing is cool. So these fish right here, they're just going off the screen. But I saw them going by, made that cast, and they were knocking the crap out of it. So I'm trying to figure out how to work this the best way. I've been kind of working it like a jig and spoon for the most part, but I have had a couple bites just swimming it, just kind of reeling it through the fish and pumping it slightly. So I think it's pretty versatile. You can do a lot of different stuff. Kind of fish like a flutter spoon, but you can kind of slow roll it like a spinner bait. And we just found the mother little shad. Look at that. That is a wad of shad. You got some bass sitting right on top of it. Looks like a 50-yard stretch of shad. See those bass right there? See if we can catch one. Man, there's shad everywhere. And there's fish mixed up in there. I got to get the right line. I'm kind of out of position here. Maybe we can catch a couple right here. There he is. First drop. Haha! Finally got one on the boat. First drop in those shad. There. Not the biggest bass in the lake, but the old scope spin got me one. I've had several bites on this. Several bites are just kind of biting funny, but we're gonna stay after it. And just found a fresh group of fish. Maybe that's a good sign. Okay, we just found another big wad of shad. Got some bass mixed in there. Some bass mixed in there. We're gonna see if we can scope them up, man. Got him, I saw it on the scope. Fish came down there and slammed it. Get in there. Ha ha ha. There we go. One thing I noticed about this bait is I've had a lot of fish actually go down on it, which is interesting. Usually they don't do that, they let it go by, but these fish have actually been going down and grabbing it. That's cool. It's an interesting bait. One thing I've noticed about this is how it falls. So if you grab this bait, look how it's balanced. It falls like this through the water. So this blade is spinning, but the lead part of this is a 1 ounce lead weight, is sitting horizontal. It's falling like this. It's a totally different presentation. Looks completely different underwater. Just figuring this out. This is that Prism. It's got the white belly, chrome sides, got a lot of flash. There we go. Seeing a few fish down here on the bottom. Definitely some bait down there, and there's some bass and stuff kind of mixed in there. Look at that. Big ball shad. Got bass right below them. I'm gonna cast up in there and see if I can snatch one of those suckers. They're high up in the water column though. They're moving fast. There he is. Two of them trying to get it. Ah, I got off. There's two trying to get that thing. Let me show you what this thing looks like on live scope. It's got a really strong signature. I'm gonna make a cast out there into some of these shad that are swimming around. The bait fish have kind of disappeared, but bite's been tough, but it's fun playing around with this. Definitely had a bunch of bites on this, just didn't hook up with them. But let's make a cast to see what this looks like on live scope. There's the bait falling right there. Pretty strong signal. And it gets down quick. I mean, it's supposed to fall, I'm thinking it falls about 2 feet per second. So the cool thing is when you see like a little wolf pack, you can get it out there and get it down to them really, really quick. And that's how I've caught the couple of fish that I've caught today have been just little wolf packs, making a cast right behind them and then just kind of reeling it through them, but it gets down super, super fast. A lot of ways to fish this. I'm still kind of experimenting on it, but you know, I've been pumping it off the bottom, kind of like a flutter spoon. Been jigging it vertical, and then I've been just kind of slow rolling like a spinner bait. And I've actually got bites doing all three of those techniques. I saw a group of fish, but they're swimming around and just kind of stroking this thing through them. Like a slow stroke, kind of glide, pull. I don't know how to explain it, but it's fun getting a new bait and experimenting with it and trying to figure out how to work it. And I think I've got a better idea after just fishing this for a few hours, how to get bites on it. So give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. There'll be a link in the description box to this bait. I'm gonna go check it out. Check it out, it's a sweet little bait. I think it's just gonna get better. We're still at the very beginning of this bite, and I think as the water really starts to cool down, it's like 64 degrees right now. I mean, you can catch them on top water. But I think as a lot of other baits go out of play, something like this is really gonna shine. So
thoughts on the scope spin after fishing it for a few hours. It was fun to get out there and play with something new. These are available on Baitworks. I checked online, so you can get on there and use my code THM10, get you a 10% off your first order. Are these the only thing you need in your boat when you're fishing schooling fish? No, absolutely not. This is a tool. It's a different look. It's got a little bit different presentation than your other traditional type baits that you'd be throwing around those schooling fish. This is something that's just starting to come in play. Fall through the winter and the early spring, I think, is when this thing is going to shine the best. It's really compact. It weighs 1 ounce. It comes in 2 colors. It comes in the pearl, and then this is the prism, I do believe. One thing I like about this prism color, it's got this chrome, but it's got that white belly. White, something about that white belly. Well, I mean, it looks like a little threadfin shad. So basically, you want some flash, you go with this. You want something white, you go with this. This is kind of overcast days and sunny days, but you never know. Fish do whatever they want. One thing that's really cool about this bait is you can target a couple different groups of fish at the same time. Say you're fishing over 30 foot of water and you see fish 15 foot down. You make this cast and it falls pretty fast. It falls about 2 feet per second. You make that cast and you're targeting that fish that's in 15. You know, maybe he passes it up and then there's some that are down there in 25. You can let that thing sink really quick and it gets down there. And I always had my best luck making that cast and kind of just sweeping it. So the bait kind of tracks like this and it kind of goes up like that. And it's a lot different than a flutter spoon. A flutter spoon, like your traditional flutter spoon, it has more of a horizontal jerk. Like if you cast it out, you let it fall to the bottom, and typically I would point my rod at it and I'll crank my reel handle 3, 4, 5 times. It kind of jumps a little bit, but it goes more horizontal. The scope spin, it's so heavy and it has just a different action. It wants to just kind of go up and go back down. So you don't get that real horizontal shot. So you can really keep it in the fish's face a lot longer. I did catch some fish doing that, just kind of short hopping it. But even when you kind of pull it and jerk it like you would traditionally rip a flutter spoon, it doesn't have a tendency to just take off and go horizontal on you. It'll go up a little bit and then it comes back down. So it's unique. One thing that I did find out is it falls like this. It's really specifically balanced to fall. So you got the minnows in the horizontal position, but the blade is spinning like that. So every time you jerk it up, you get this blade going like this, and then it falls straight like this. It's just a different presentation. When I go out and I'm doing this kind of stuff, you're definitely gonna have an A-rig, gonna have a flutter spoon, gonna have a blade bait. I like to throw an underspin or some small swim bait. I like to throw a jig, and then now this is going to be another option that I'm going to have in the boat. As far as equipment to throw the scope spin on, I was throwing it on this Virtus. This is a Jewel Virtus rod. This is a Red Diamond series, and this is their 7'2" swim jig rod. And it's got kind of a soft tip. It's got good backbone, but it's got that little bit of that softer tip, which I think, to me, is really key. Anytime you're throwing something on the bottom, like a spoon, even an A-rig, I think you want a softer tip. You just have better control of the bait, and that softer tip allows it to cast out there. But this is an excellent rod for that. I think any rod that's around that 7'2" to 7, well, actually 7 foot to 7'4" would be ideal. It just depends on how tall you are. If you're a little bit shorter person, a 7 foot might be a little bit easier to handle. I'm like almost 6'2", so 7'2" to 7'4" would be perfect for, you know, the spoon rod or the scope spin rod. And I was throwing it on 15-pound fluorocarbon. I know some guys have been throwing it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, so just play around with it. But I like to have 15-pound fluorocarbon is such an all-around line. I tend to have that on a lot of my setups just because I can just tie one thing on there, not worry about it, take it off, tie another one on there. I don't like to have a bunch of different line sizes. I like to keep it as minimalistic, as simple as possible, so I can use different techniques on the same setups. But 15-pound tests work great. I had no problem with 15-pound tests. That rod loads up really good. Do I think you need it? Yeah, I do. I think it makes a difference. I had several bites on it. One thing I am going to do with this bait is I'm going to change these hooks out. I think these are probably like size 6. I want to go up to size 4. I'm thinking I'm going to put a split ring on here, and then I'm going to go to size 4 because this thing is set up to where this hook point is up, so when the fish come up and maybe grab the blade, you're gonna hook them in the bottom of the mouth. It's gonna get them in the throat. Your hookup percentage is better. But what I found is this is such a heavy bait. They get leverage when they jump. I lost several fish that jumped and they just came off because this hook's it'll kind of get in a bind. So one thing you can do with the flutter spoon or any treble hook baits that you're ripping up off the bottom is you can take a split ring, and sometimes you can put 2 split rings. I don't think you can do it on this, but you can take a split ring, and that's gonna allow this hook to swivel more. And when those fish jump, they lose a little bit of leverage. So I'm definitely gonna take these hooks off. They're super sharp hooks. There's nothing wrong with them. And if you're throwing this thing around and you're not losing fish, definitely wouldn't change it. But for the day that I had, and they were biting a little bit funny, honestly. So I'm gonna leave one with set up just like this out of the package, and I'm gonna take another one and I'm gonna put some split rings on there and change the hooks and see if it makes a difference. I'm gonna go up to like a size 4, like I said, a split ring, and we will see. But it's hard to tell after just one trip if it's the design of the bait or if it's just the way that they were biting, because each day is different. I think if they're really getting this thing good down in their mouth, a lot of them, they were kind of slapping at it and it was kind of on the outside. But I think if they get it good inside their mouth, there's not going to be a problem with them holding on to it and they're not going to jump off. But when they're slapping at it, which happens when it's off a little bit, they're more apt to throw this bait. But overall, yeah, it's a cool bait. I like it. I'm glad I got some more, and I'm definitely going to be throwing it around throughout the spring. So thumbs up, subscribe. Till next time.